All right, y'all, here we go. Episode 5 is called The Road to Culiacan.
The twins' big business became the envy of many. Even Guadalupe, affectionately referred to as Tio, Uncle Lupe, wanted to take everything they had. Lupe was causing issues. He was forcing the brothers to take shipments that were compromised and putting the business at risk. Pete headed out to see Lupe to try and smooth things over.
Okay, that helps me understand better. I was wondering why they introduced the uncle last time and then they kind of let him go and went on to the rest. Oh, this is what seems to be going on. The twins' operation in Chicago is compromised. They got a worker kidnapped. The twins want to stop all movement of drugs in the operation until they figure out what's going on and remedy the situation. They tell their uncle, I guess, that they're stopping the movement of cocaine, and the uncle's like, nah, that can't happen. You need to take these keys. We need to keep this going. As a matter of fact, I want your business. I want y'all to have your workers working for me. The twins said they couldn't do that. I guess Theo called them back and said, listen, we gotta fix this. Supposedly they were supposed to have a meeting and they didn't, and I guess eventually they had the meeting. Maybe that's where we're at now.
He was forcing the brothers to take shipments that were compromised and putting the business at risk. Pete headed out to see Lupe to try and smooth things over. But the brothers' flashy lifestyle drew the attention of more than just other drug dealers.
There's trouble brewing, and it's all happening at Uncle Lupe's house.
Just like that, they come and they start to beat me with the rifle. Like, he hits me in the stomach, he hits me in the face, like, I'm like, damn, like, and I'm remembering, like, this is Mexico. I used to complain about getting slapped around by the Chicago police, and now these people are beating the crap out of me, He's like shoving the back of the rifle into the back of my neck and head, like, don't fucking move. He's telling me, you're going back to the United States. He's telling me in Spanish.
Gringo, te vuelves a Estados Unidos, pendejo.
I mean, he's putting the handcuffs on me. He's like beating me and he's kicking me, He takes my shorts off, like, well, I still have my shoes on, but he takes my shorts off. I'm in my underwear. I remember they picked me up, like, they're roughing me up, like, that whole time, like, I'm not feeling it really at that time. I realized I lose my tooth.
Dang. They're not putting a regular ass whooping down. They're knocking teeth out.
I realized I lose my tooth. I could feel like blood in my chin. I could, feel the wetness, and I could feel my gum, like, oh man, that's a tooth. Here we go, like, it's the cops. Again, with these stupid winter hats. Put it over my head. Like this, I'm all over my head, and he tapes up my head. I can tape it on my face.
Did it bring back memories?
Yeah, I'm like, here we go again. Yeah, like, here we go again. Yeah. But
this guy Peter got no luck when it comes to getting kidnapped. Buddy get kidnapped, period. The other brother, chilling.
But this time when they put me in the pickup. They put me like in a truck. I could feel them because they laid me down like on the floor of it, and I could see them like they're putting their feet on my back, and I could feel the rifle. They're like, don't move, man. That vulnerability of being in a situation. The worst of the worst badasses in Mexico, it's happened to. Like when they want someone, and you have 10 guys with guns, they'll bring 40. They're gonna shoot out, but they're gonna take you. Even if they lose a bunch of people, they don't care. They drive me away in this pickup. Feel them driving on the road. It's a big operation. It's not just like one truck. When they finally stop, they pull me out. I'm still in my underwear. They like sit me down like on a rock, and I remember being handcuffed behind my back. I could hear them taking like tape off. I could hear him touching the pickup, like, and I could hear him like pulling stuff off. I'm thinking maybe they're taking out police decals. That's when I really felt, yep, I don't think we'll make it out of this one. Because people don't come back from that. It wasn't the cops. It's obvious, And the only thing I remember that kind of made me know that for sure was that I seen an AK-47. And I'm like, the cops don't use AK-47. Like, they put my shorts back on. They were just quiet, and I could hear radios. I could hear radios going off, and they're talking. And I was just laying there.
So now we know it's definitely not the cops that grenaded the place. Makes sense.
I remember getting tired of laying there on the rock and kind of sitting on the rock and laying out, like trying to stretch my back out.
Discomfort, man. Discomfort's hard to deal with when you wake up in satin sheets.
I remember a guy coming in, he hits me with the rifle. Hey, I want to ask you something. You know who Chapo Mayo?
This is the introduction.
Chapo.
So here we are. This seems to be the introduction. I thought the last kidnapping was the introduction, but this might be it. But why beat his ass like that?
Chapo and Mayo are two of the bosses of the Sinaloa cartel, also known as the Federation. With eyes and ears all over Mexico, the exact number of people working for them is deliberately secret, but it's thought to be in the hundreds of thousands. Tens of thousands more are on the take in one way or another, including most of Mexico's law enforcement. At this point, they had operations in more than 50 countries, controlled most of the drug operations in the US, and made up to $40 billion every year. El Chapo is the most famous name, the one we've all heard of. He's the guy who had primary control over cartel operations, but he's not the only man who ran Sinaloa. Equal to Chapo was Arturo Beltran Leyva and Ismael Zambada Garcia, also known as Mayo. Arturo and Mayo ran different arms of the cartel, but were equally as dominant as Chapo. The wider families of those three main players were often used as lieutenants who helped to run operations and control the money.
You know who Chapo Mayo? And I was like, never heard of him. Like, you sure? I'm like, I'm sure. I'm like, they say you're a big drug dealer. I'm like, I'm just a student. He's talking to me in Spanish. A couple hours later, it gets dark. It must be like 2, 3 in the morning. I'm having the worst cold. The mountains are cold at night. I'm freezing. I'm like,
just out in the open.
Yeah, I'm out in the open, sitting on the rock on the floor. Right? I'm like, oh, I'm getting stung by a scorpion, bit by a snake, or both. Were my luck at that time, right? They come back and they pick me up. They put me back in the truck and they drive me back and they drive me to a place and they walk me out. I could kind of, see under my eyes a little bit that they have flashlights and they're walking me slowly again. But this time they walk me to a small room, like a cell. And there's no windows in there. They have a bed in there.
It's probably just as cold as it is outside on that rock.
I was just happy that I'm still alive, so I'm thinking they're gonna ask for a ransom or something. Put me in this room, there's a bed, and they tie my feet up. Put the handcuffs in front of me. And they lay me down. That was the first night. They slept at my feet in the room. They'll close the doors and they'll sleep on the floor. And there's like 5 of them. I would sleep more in the day because I was hopeful that this would end. Like in the day that I would get out. That something was going on. That my brother was going to come through for me and that I'd be going home because they hadn't killed me. And at night, it's where the heavy stress would hit me. If I'm laying there in pitch black and they will continue to sleep either right inside in the room by me or right outside them. I could hear them kicking. I could hear the radios going off and they're talking to people. The day was hot. Like I'm in the day, I'm sweating and it's hot in there. I'm just trying to get by and they'll bring me some water. And I remember they brought me they threw a bunch of rolls of toilet paper.
Did they feed you?
At first, they wouldn't feed me. They weren't talking about nothing. They wouldn't say much. The only thing they would say was, once in a while, he'll come and he'll cock the gun and he'll be like, let me talk to you. Like, I'm going to ask you again. Do you know Chapo Mayo? I don't know who you're talking about. This is what, listen to what I'm saying to you. That's not going to change. I'm from Chicago. I am not from here. Everything you tell me, I don't know nothing of what you're talking about. I'm just here on vacation.
Were you saying in English or Spanish?
In Spanish. I'm here on vacation. I said to myself, I'm going to stick to that story. I'm not going to give him a reason and kill me, you know?
I wonder if it's Chapo checking his metal, seeing how long they could whoop him and deprive him for him to say what they want him to say. See if that's something that's possible. You get into business with people like that, you hoping you in business with somebody strong enough to resist the pressure of ratting you out.
I remember my arms, when I was falling asleep, I'd wake up, my hands would be so swollen and numb because the handcuffs were cutting out my circulation. So I had to put the toilet paper under my elbows to kind of like rest my elbows to my side. I remember using the bathroom, like they would walk me. I could see the floor, and there were like planters in the ground, like kind of deep planters. And he would literally like walk me 3 steps outside the door and go ahead, you get pissed right there. And I remember like having to go to the bathroom and he bucket. That was the only time I had to go to the bathroom because I didn't eat. They weren't like offering me food at all. They would just give me some water. And I remember getting up to pee and I could barely stand. I felt weak. You know, and I started to feel like I'm sweating. I could smell myself. And I remember like a couple of days into it thinking like, okay, you know, it's 4 days. You know, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days or something. Like, this is starting to worry me. I lost count. I knew it was a long time of thinking. So many things went through my mind. So many regrets. I believe in fasting because of this. I believe that there's something about fasting and denying your body things that gives you like a spiritual insight.
It's called dying. You were dying. That's what was giving you a spiritual insight.
And because of this moment of suffering, of not having food, and malnourished and in so much need, that I really felt these prayers, you know, or talking to God, asking for forgiveness, regretting my decisions, regretting my life, and thinking all these things.
It was Jay that was talking to God, making promises last time, while Peter was kidnapped. Now Peter's kidnapped. Peter's making promises.
And thinking all these things, these heavy things, brought me peace eventually. See, I remember like thinking about my brother. I hope Rihanna finds the right person. I hope my brother saved, that, you know, that they make it out. And it was sad to think that I'm 22 years old. I'm rich. I'm gonna die though. I'm gonna die. I'm thinking, what for? Like, so someone could say I was really good at fucking up my life, of destroying my whole life, and I mean money, and now look again, I'm tied up here, helpless. Ain't no point in being tough right there. All these heavy thoughts, like, but at the same time, I found so much peace in them, where I wasn't like giving up, but I was just coming to terms where if this doesn't work out, I had this like these thoughts. I felt like that I never really loved someone correctly. But everything was selfish. Like I never even gave someone my best. I never got married. I don't even think I told my family enough that I love them and cared for them.
He's reflecting as he's dying from starvation and regret. You know, he's reflecting.
That unselfish love. And the best of me, you know? That wasn't the best of me. You know, I just me being me and following in the footsteps of every other loser that went before me. You know, into this stupid life that I had chosen.
Your father told you wasn't going to be a bum on the corner.
And the days were long. And I remember like getting to a point where they'll come and talk to me, and I'll just curse them away, like, do whatever you want. And I remember hearing them talk on the radio, like, look, man, he's not doing good. But I heard him say, like, hey, man, kill this guy or not? Like, just like that. I'm kind of getting tired of being here.
They held up the burden of this semi-dead body walking around, cussing them out. They're ready to smoke him already.
Even if I don't kill him, he's gonna die. Now, when he said that, I thought to myself, wow. For him to just say it that way, he's done this many of times.
It was like nothing to him.
It was like nothing to see someone like that, you know. And remember, he beat the crap out of me already. He did all these things to me. He had no heart for it, you know. Like, it was just, he's just doing.
It's so like normal.
Normal for him, you know. And I felt bad for him. I felt bad for him, like.
Why?
That you could put someone like in a situation that you don't really know, and just do what someone else is telling you to do, without second guessing.
These guys be playing the role like they're mad innocent, like they never put a bag on nobody's head or nothing like that. Like, I'm not buying that part. That's what's a puff piece about all of this to me, that they, and I get it, they don't want to say more than they have to. They never did. You know, when it came to their deals with the feds or whatever, they never did. They held a lot back, you know what I'm saying? They don't want nobody to know their dirty little secrets or the skeletons they got tucked away in their closets.
I was doing it for my own greed, you know, my own selfishness, and you're doing it because someone's telling you to do it with no remorse. I remember hearing the church bells as well. I could hear them talking about what Sunday it was, you know? Anyways, those days end up being like 16 days or 17 days. And I was thinking about my mom a lot because it was Mother's Day, and I could hear them announcing the Mother's Day, you know, special service, which is May 10th in Mexico. And I could hear the bells. My older brother called me late that night, and he said, "Hey, I dropped off Peter by Dio's house. It's 11:30 or midnight, probably. And he still hasn't called." So we would go visit him all the time. We were just there not that, you know, a few weeks prior. And, you know, he loved to talk. So we could stay until 2, 3 in the morning. So that wasn't unusual. I'm like, all right, well, it's early. You know, I mean, he'll call you. You know, an hour went by. He's like, "Hey, he says to call." I'm like, "Call their house." And he says, "All right." He said, "Call it. This shit rings."
Ghosting you already.
Take it right over there. My older brother called me. He's like, "I'm knocking in Theo's house. All the lights off. No one's here." And that's when I was like, oh shit. I'm like, damn. Maybe they took a ride somewhere, you know. By then it's 2 in the morning. And I was still hopeful. I think I was trying to think positive. 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I could have dozed off. Now Vivi starts to call me. "Jay, where's your brother at?" I'm like, "I don't know. He said he was gonna call. Do you know if he went somewhere? Don't lie to me." Huh? Like, no, I don't. I can't believe he's still not home. Like,
She think he out with 10 senoritas.
you know, tell my brother to go back again. So my brother went back to Theo's house. He's like, nothing. There's no one here. There's no cars. The lights are off. The doors are locked. Then I knew there was something wrong. I hadn't slept, and you know, as hours passed, now it's like 10 in the morning. Now we're worried. Like, he's going around, he's actually sending people. They're like looking in the house. There's, you know, we're trying to like find out what's going on, calling every number we know. He's going to the town. Like, have you seen Lucas? Around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. My brother calls and said, "Bro, they just called. They said that they have Peter kidnapped."
Who's they?
That's all he said.
You didn't know who it was.
And I'm like, well, he's like, "They said they have your Peter kidnapped and they want $10 million.
$10 million.
And he started panicking. I said, listen, take this number. You know, we always had like 20, 30 brand new phones. When I picked out a phone that was already redone, I said, take this number. When they call back, you tell them to call. I said, for right now, go get everyone out of there and come. Then my mom and my dad come. Because I don't know what's going on. I'm like, they're in the town, you know?
So get them out of town and take them to Guadalajara.
Yeah.
I get everybody under one roof. You don't know what's happening, what side they're going to hit you from next, whatever. Who's being watched, nothing.
I'm like worried. And I start making calls to those people around me, the closest people. My best friend, Tommy, I call him right away. I said, they kidnapped my brother. And they're saying that they have Lupe and his sons too. What? Get out of here. They called us. I haven't spoke to them. I gave them a number. It's going to take me 7 hours to get there. I'll be right there. I had to call in a lot of favors. Like, hey, listen, my brother's been kidnapped. Because in Mexico, you feel like somebody has to know something.
So you call in all these people up, and what are they saying?
And
Did they know?
it's like, well, let me find out. We'll get back to you. Let me find out. We'll get back to you. I'm on it.
Time to use that network. Time to use that network and see how far your net goes out.
He said, we're calling, we have your brother, and we need $10 million. You guys know Chapo Guzman. $10.8 million.
What went through your head as soon as you heard Chapo's name?
My heart dropped. I was like, I don't owe Chapo Guzman no $10 million.
Why you owe Chapo Guzman $10 million? What's that about, Jay?
I said, I owe Guadalupe $10 million. Saying, well, you and Guadalupe owe that money, and we need it. You got the money. I'm like, I don't have $10 million. And he's like, we know who you are. Like, you have houses all over this place. We know that you're gambling $200,000 in a horse race.
You showed everybody your pockets. You opened up your safe and told everybody take a look.
They know things. You got a big old house here, and you got a house on the beach. He's like, listen, come up with the money. And I'm like, well, hold on, listen. I know people, like, if I owe it, I'll pay it. But I've never been someone that never paid, and I know a bunch of people, like, if I owe it, I'm thinking, okay, then I'll owe it. I'll pay you, but let my brother go. It's just not gonna work like that. It's not that easy. He was like, so how long is it gonna take you to get this money together? We're gonna give you time. We got time. And I'm like, I'll see what I can get together. Just do me a favor, just like, don't do nothing to my brother. And they're really respectful, like, oh, don't worry, but we won't, as long as you pay. And I was like, all right, got right back on the phone. Started calling everybody. They said that Chapo has them and calling everyone. I know they're making calls, and by that time that night, Tommy gets there. And I start, just talking to Tommy. Now, Tommy has a brother-in-law who was deep in the cartel. When I told Tommy that Chapo has Peter, he's like, let's go to Culiacan. We're gonna get your brother back.
Tommy came up in there with all the balls, huh? Tommy on some let's get it. Road to Culiacan.
Culiacan is the Sinaloa cartel's stronghold and where Chapo himself lived.
The hardest thing was that I had to tell, like, Vivian, Peter's not coming home.
What did you say to me?
I was just like, okay, Viv, listen, my brother is kidnapped. And she started crying. I was like, don't worry, I'm gonna get my brother back. Just need you to trust me. In between those times, they'll call me. Hey, how's it looking for the money? And I was just like, oh, I'm getting it together. Oh, okay. How's my brother? Like, listen, hurry up. Threats. Just calm, simple.
And they're talking to him calm and simple, however many hours or days or nights this has been. But they're talking to him nice and simple, but they're not going to feed him. They're going to make sure he don't die by making sure he's hydrated, but they're not going to feed him. They got him in a hole down there.
Just calm, simple request. But every time that phone rang, my heart beat a little bit faster, a little bit harder.
The Sinaloa Federation has killed hundreds of thousands of people, and Chapo himself claimed to have personally executed more than 2,000. Chapo was never, though, referred to by his name, only ever Dad or Daddy, as you'll start to hear. Jay was able to get an associate to set up a meeting with Arturo Beltran's brother, who was running things in Culiacan for Chapo.
I know who's who, and he's Arturo Beltran's Leiva's brother, who runs Culiacan. At that time, runs there, is in charge for Chapo and Arturo.
So you immediately knew who it was?
Yes. I was a little bit like, I wasn't scared by his demeanor. He was nice. I could tell he was like, hey, how's it going? Like, real, hey, chavalon.
I love how you described everyone as, oh, they were nice.
They were, yeah, I felt comfortable.
You felt comfortable, seriously.
I was scared of the situation, but with him,
With him, it was a business transaction. Just a couple of guys talking business.
I seen him, the way he looked at me, like, kind of studied. I'm a good people's reader. Like, I know he knows who I am. And that's a good thing. So just by the way he greeted me, like, it's not like they put a gun to my head and brought me to him. Shook my hand and said, man, you're fairly young. How old are you? For so many years, we used our age as a plus. Because it's better, you're younger, you're allowed to make mistakes. So I think I couldn't even lie. If I was 22, I could have said 20. Just because we're kids, right? Take it easy. He's like, yeah, come on, pats me, like kind of pushes my shoulders, like, come here and talk to me. So what's going on? How could I help you? And I'm like,
how could you help me? Why don't you get my starving brother out the basement? Appreciate that, thanks.
And he's looking at me, he's kind of tall. Well, to me, he's tall. So he's 6'1". He's looking at me and I'm saying, well, look, I'm here because they kidnapped my brother. And they killed Guadalupe Ledesma. He's like, I know Lupe. I'm like, oh yeah, well, they kidnapped them. And he said, you owe money. And I said, yeah, I owe some money. Like, let me ask you a question. He said, do you owe money right now? And I said, yes, sir. To who? I said, well, I owe money to Lupe. And he's like, who else? And I'm like, now I know he's getting somewhere.
To keep the supply of drugs flowing, they had to pony up their own money in advance. The twins had lots of debts, so there were many people to pay, even before Pete's kidnappers called demanding payment of a $10 million debt.
Did somebody just recently give you a shipment of cocaine?
So wait a minute, so y'all was doing bad business too? Let's not hide that. You're going to hide the bodies and all of that, but let's not hide the bad business, because y'all make it seem like y'all the, Fortune 500 of dope dealers, and I get it works like that, but once you start playing loose and sloppy, and people are owed money and there's resentment, you putting your family on the chopping block. Mind you, he's meeting with one of the three heads of the Sinaloa joint. There's Arturo, there's El Mayo, and there's Chapo. Arturo and Lasford.
I'm like who? I'm like, Noel. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Like, that is my cocaine. Where's my money? I have it. Like, you have it? I'm like, yeah. Like, I want it right now. And I was like, okay. You got a phone number? Because I had been collecting the money. I have money. I'm not ever going to pay a debt with someone else's money. He looked at me kind of surprised. I just don't want you to pay, for your brother Ransom with my money. I said, excuse me, sir. I said, I don't owe you the money. He said, I just told you the money. I said, yes, but I owe Noel the money. If you get Noel to tell me to give it to you, I'll give it to you. And he laughed.
Jay making ballsy moves again.
He said, bring my radio. They come bring him like a CB radio, and he's like, whatever, gives a code word, a code number. And then I hear Noel's voice on the radio. Yeah, I'm right here with your friend. Tell him to pay me my money, yeah? And he like, okay. He pushes it, and I'm like,
He pushes the radio.
they push the radio, and like, hey, Noel, like, Spanish, like, how are you? Good. Oh, good. I'm glad that you're meeting my friend. Yeah, just go ahead and turn in the money, turn in all. I said, all of it? He said, yeah, all of it, no problem. I will work it out later. I'll call you later on so we can meet. You're in good hands, don't worry about it. All right, thank you. I dial out to my workers. I said, hey, I need you to make a deposit. Get this, whatever I owed them. It was like $2 million, whatever it was. I made the arrangements. You'll have it within 40 minutes. Yeah, that's good. Arturo Beltran's brother. He said, I want you to meet someone. And he said, here, these are my friends. This right here is Chapillo Lomas. And this is Japonés. He said, and these are the guys that are calling you for the money. And I was like, wow. And I said, you're calling me? Japonés. He said, yeah. Here I am standing with the person that's been calling me for the past 10 days.
So Peter lost count of how many days he's been there. Evidently, Jay's saying 10 days. They on their money, man. Like, why the twins are owing anybody in the situation that they're in, it's dangerous. You create resentment with these guys, anything can happen. But in the drug business, it's like that. Money takes time to move. Product takes time to move. It's back and forth. It's an ebb and flow. Things take time. Sometimes people run out of patience. And cartels have no patience. Arturo wasn't going to let Jay negotiate with any kidnappers or do anything or pay any ransom until he got his bread first. So it's a $12 million shakedown.
Jay was in the middle of cartel country, negotiating with one of the top lieutenants, who also just happens to be Arturo Beltran Leiva's brother, one of the bosses, and was now face to face with Chapo's men, the very people who had been calling him to negotiate the debt that Pete was kidnapped for.
Arturo Beltran's brother. He said, so let me explain this to you. I tried getting your brother back. It turns out that he's in debt. The debt that Lupe owes is owed to Chapo and to a couple other people. I like you. I don't even know you, but I like you, but I'm not gonna pay your debt. So this is what we're gonna do. He said, I'm gonna send you so you can go see Chapo. You could work it out with him, and then you're gonna come work for me.
So evidently, they didn't pay their deal, or their deal messed up some money. I'm not clear on that yet, but they're on the line for it. Chapo's holding them personally responsible.
And I was like, but I don't owe the money. That's not my problem. You could work it out with him, and you could work it out with me.
Right, go tell Chapo you don't owe him no money.
And he turns to Chapo, like, take him, go see my dad, let him talk to him and see what he says and try to work this out. He says, how many keys could you sell? And I'm like, I don't know, at that time, like, I could sell like 1,500, 1,800 keys a month. And that's it? And I was like, well, if I get a good number, I could sell more. He like, it was a joke. I'm just kind of being serious, like I'm being business. And he says, I got 500 keys, right there. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't take your drugs. He said, why not? I said, I'm here for my brother.
Period.
I appreciate everything, but I'm here for my brother. I'm not here to do business. That's fair. And he laughed. She said, this guy, look. He said, he's a smart guy. And they just staring at me like I'm different, right? I look different. And he said, okay, give me a phone number. And I said, I don't have a phone to give you my number. He said, you have 3 phones right there. I said, but you don't want to be on these phones. I don't want to cause you no problems. And he said, okay, that's fair. All right. He said, give him a phone number, whatever case, you go by on your phone, you call me. I said, okay, we'll do that. All right. I'll see you tomorrow or something. I'll see you later on so we can continue talking, okay? Let's go get your brother. He said, hey, your brother, they say he looks just like you. I said, nah, that's what they say. Hey, you guys don't look alike? I said, no, he's a little uglier than me. He starts kind of walking away, and I'm here left with Chapo Lomas and Japonés. And we start talking, and he said, hey, no hard feelings. Just doing my job. I said, no hard feelings. And then he's like, you keep saying that Lupe is, tied up. Why? And I'm like, well, that's what he said. He's like, you told him that? And he's like, well, that's what Lupe told me to tell him. What?
Tío
He said, Lupe.
Tío Lupe ain't shit.
Ask Chapo to tie your brother up.
Tío Lupe ain't shit.
That was like devastating to me.
Yeah, what did you think? What was going through your head at the time? What did it feel like?
My heart was like, kind of sank. Like, what? I don't understand. And they're looking at me like, my reaction, like, why? I said, no, there's no way. I'm like I'm doing business where I've been paying him. Like, there's no way. We don't know about that. Like, why would he say that? I'm kind of talking to myself, and they're just staring at me like we should kind of stop. And like, well, don't worry, I'm gonna take you to go see Chapo, and we're gonna work it out. I stepped outside like the gate, and they patted me down. And he said, all right, let's go. Opened the pickup door, and it was like probably like a level 7 bulletproof like truck. Chapillo Lomas in Japonés. They made me sit in the middle. That made me feel a little uncomfortable at first. And here we are, I'm like sitting next to him, and this is like
in the middle.
In the middle. He's there, and I'm like kind of quiet. I'm trying to pay attention where we're going, and I know we're like on the back ends of the city. Like, there's a lot of like potholes and like bumps. At that time, I have a Rolex, a masterpiece. Got like 100 carats of diamonds on it. Probably have like $180,000 on my wrist.
Nico Leonard would beg to differ. It's a bust down.
The sun hits it, so it kind of catches me like, like the diamonds in my eye. Chapillo Lomas looks, because as I move, the sun's hitting him at that point. It's kind of hitting him in the face. He said, wow, look at that watch. Can I see it? And I'm like, sure. I take it off, and I hand it to him. Wow, it's heavy, man. How much is this watch worth? I'm like, I don't know, 150, 180,000. He said, 150,000. I said, that's how much my dream houses were. And I said, yeah. And he was looking like, wow, man, I want to have a watch like this one day. And it's nice. And he started giving it back to me. The minute he started giving me that watch back, I knew I was in a good situation. Like, I'm just telling you, I have a $150,000 watch. You could easily take it off me and just be like, it's mine. I have a chance. It's making me feel better. Kind of gave me a little confidence. That was my little insurance. Reached over his hand. I said, here, it's a gift. He said, what? I said, this is my gift to you. I said, you help me out? He said, no, I can't take something like that.
He ended up tied up. He'd be next to your brother. He'd take that watch.
I can't. I said, no, it's okay. Take it. I said, that's a little token for our new friendship. He shook my hand, and I looked at him with my hand up. He shook my hand. He's like, thank you. He said, no one ever gave me a gift like this. And I said, well, I'm glad I'm the first one.
Yeah, under pressure, in the middle.
We pull up. We arrived to this like farm, and I could see it's like corn on one side, and they have like hangers. When we pull in, I see that there's a patch, a long patch, like And I see, oh, there's a runway. And there's no tractors there. There's planes. A bunch of small Cessnas. There has to be like at least 8, 10 of them. He's like, get off, and a couple guys. And I see, oh, there's a runway. And there's no tractors there. There's planes. A bunch of small Cessnas. There has to be like at least 8, 10 of them. He's like, get off, and a couple guys come, and he takes me, and they have like almost like a mechanic shop. He takes me, and he introduced me to a bunch of people. Like, I shake their hands, they're armed. He tells me, okay, is it ready? When I come out, the plane's already on the little runway. And he's like, all right, come on, let's go.
We're about to take flight.
So we start walking, and the pilot's this tall, skinny kid wearing flip-flops. He has to be 16 years old, 17 years old. And he opens the door, and I'm like, this is not right. Hold on. I walk around the plane, and Chapo's holding the door open. I jump in the back. Chapo jumps in the front. I see that they got a bunch of radios, a bunch of CB radios and stuff. Now I could see his feet on the pedals. And I said, hey, Chapo, we good? He's like, oh, yeah, man, don't worry about it. He's the best pilot there is. And I'm like, I'm not feeling well. I look in the back, and they have a bunch of AKs, and they have a real long, a 50 caliber rifle set across. They have to set it at an angle because it's so big. And I'm just like, wow. Okay, let me try to settle in a little bit.
Got you in a sketchy plane, going for a ride.
It was a smooth takeoff, for sure. To me, I never been on that type of plane, so the minute we take off, it's I felt like we didn't even have enough wind spins the plane around, and we start heading towards the mountains. And it's noisy. They have the windows open, it's noisy. And they're kind of screaming at each other back and forth, having a conversation. I'm just looking around, and I'm so scared of so much. The unknown, the plane ride.
And you don't know if you're going to be ended up next to your brother.
Everything you could imagine. And just thinking about my brother, I do remember thinking man, this is the life they live. And it was about to get worse. But I'm okay, trying to just keep my mind, busy. It was going to be a half-hour flight. 15, 20 minutes after takeoff. CB radios have been going off. They're starting to code, and I could see that the different radios. So I'm gonna guess that one is for air traffic control, one is for this, one is for the cartel, the lookouts. This one radio, when they went off, they both looked. It's they have him clipped on, and he takes the radio off. They're kind of screaming out numbers. 42, 57, 59, 15 minutes. And then he's it's a boludo. That's what they call the Black Hawks. The Black Hawk helicopters, smaller, fighter helicopter. There's 3 of them. And he's slow it down. Just take off the pace. Let's see which way they head. And he's they're gonna come. What do we have here? What do you have? What's back?
What do you have? I got a Rolex. Got that, you got a Rolex. Got the 50 cal in the back, couple AKs. That's what you got.
What's back there? And I'm 2 AKs and a big gun. Hand me over the AK. Hand him over to me. He said, get the big one. And I'm huh?
You part of the team now, Jay. Put your little body behind that 50 cal. Watch that kick put you through the other side of the plane.
Get the big rifle. Get it. The military's coming. When you're in this situation, the only thing we could do is try to scare them off or something. And they're not scared to shoot. My heart sank. At that time, I'm scared, but I'm doing what he says. I go, and the gun ended up being a little bit heavier than what I thought it was going to be. It weighed at least 60 pounds, probably 70, but the way I was kind of positioned, it was hard for me to, kind of get over because I'm hitting the roof of the aircraft. And the window doesn't go up all the way, but he said, no, just lean the barrel on the window. He said, you're gonna shoot the window. And I'm like, I'm gonna shoot the window? But to him, he's looking at me, I think I'm looking calm. I just do what he says, and he like, get it ready. And when I pulled the gun out, when I actually put it, it was a 50 cal, it's already kind of loaded. He has a box of ammunition. I kind of bring the box over. And he's like, go ahead and just put one in the chamber. And my first try was, I couldn't. Maybe I was not sure if I was weak or I just didn't pull enough. I couldn't, I kind of like pulled it a little bit, and I knew I had to actually put some pressure on it. I kind of put my left hand on the gun, and I cocked it back. It was just silence for a few minutes, 3-4 minutes. And I'm like, wow, I died here. No one will ever know what happened to me. No one. I won't know. No one will know.
Right now, your boys are in Chicago pushing dope. They have no clue that your brother's in a hole and you in a Cessna with a 50 cal and a homie with an AK, and y'all about to face up with the military and many Blackhawks. Stranger than fiction.
I'll just be dead somewhere, this plane will blow up, and that's my life. That was like a lot. I'm realizing this. Not just because, not as a drug dealer, as a person, as a husband, like, that's it. That's your life. No one will ever know where you're at. You'll be somewhere in the damn mountains, in pieces. I didn't like that sentence. It's those little moments that you take in that you like think about what's going on. If no one will ever know where you're at, you'll be somewhere in the damn mountains, in pieces. I didn't like that sentence.
The game don't give a damn what you like.
It's those little moments that you take in that you like think about what's going on. And then numbers being called on the radio again. The radio just comes on. More numbers are being called. And I could see him be like, oh, all right. That's good, okay. And he kind of keeps like, okay, you go ahead and take the gun down. I think we're good. And I'm like,
or these were all tests from the beginning.
I don't want to accidentally for it to go off. So I'm like, how do I take the gun off the chamber? How to take the bullet off the chamber? He said, don't worry about it, just don't press the trigger, just set it back down, because I have to kind of carry it and then bring it over, and I just kind of threw it in the back, just kind of just laid it. And I sat down like, oh my God. And as we're kind of on the plane, we're going to big peaks. Like the plane, I feel like sometimes the trees are going to just rub the belly of the plane. And it was this big mountain we were kind of heading towards. And once we hit that mountain, I could see him start kind of gliding. Our altitude went down. The mountains look huge, you're on the plane, and I'm like, okay, where are we going? I don't see enough runway to land, around these valleys. I look ahead and I'm like, I see it. The dirt is this red-orange color. And it's green, the mountains are green, and here's this orange clay dirt field. I could see it uphill. And I could see him kind of dive in a little bit. And now I'm really, really scared. I'm like, what the fuck?
Buddy's landed on that mountain 1,000 times.
He lands kind of down. He's bringing the plane down, and he kind of adjusts it, kind of going up. He's landing uphill. And I guess that's to slow the plane down. Hard, bumpy riding. Shuts the plane off. It's rocky, left to right, because there's wind, and I think I could see him kind of like slamming on, like trying to hold the brakes off, and we get to like the end of the runway, like barely, and with the speed of the plane, he kind of eases up into a turn, and it just stops. And I look over and I see that on the side of the runway, there's like a bunch of vehicles and a bunch of armed men in camouflage. They're in quads and four-wheelers. They have hats on. It's hot. Like, all right, we're here. Come on, let's go. We get off the plane and he's out. I'll be back. I'll see you in a bit. Chapo jumps off. I jump out. And right away they approach him. They have the cars waiting for him. There's a bunch of, like, there has to be at least 30 guys, 40 guys. There's a small little caravan. We jump in the car, we make our way, like, start driving, like, up hills, like, down these roads, winding roads, dirt roads. Like, some of them are not even, like, actually roads. And I see that a bunch of, like, more cars, a bunch of armed men in camouflage gear, like army gear, but more, a little dirtier. We kind of pull in, like, and like, we're here, and, you know, everyone's just staring at me. I'm kind of getting off, everyone's just looking at me. Very young kids. I'm talking about 13 years old with rifles sitting there, and he tells me, come on. We go in, and there's like some stairs, and we come up the stairs and realize it's a big old palapa. It's huge. Palapa is it's like for the sun, like in Mexico they're common in villages, like teepees almost, that are made with palm trees. It's huge. There's fans. But the view, like the minute I got up there, like the views, wow, you see the tip of mountains. It's like amazing picture. You could feel the fresh air. When you're under that palapa, fresh, it's cool, and there's a couple dudes there, and one of them is like, I guess Chapo, like, radio guy, and he'd be like, where's Chapo? He'll be here right now. I shake his hand, and he's like, I'll be back. I see him kind of go to the side of Palapa, and there's stairs, and I see his head kind of like start dipping away, and I'm just caught up in the views, like, wow, man, it's so beautiful up here. And one of them is like, yeah, and he's like, well, where are you from? Making small talk. As I was walking across the Palapa, there's tables. I see that there's, you know, he has like these picnic tables, or like these Walmart tables, like plastic ones. There's a bunch of newspapers, and then some of them have Chapo's face in the front of it on the table, and he has like the TVs there. As I'm making my way across the Palapa, I see Chapo kind of like climbing back up the stairs, and he turns to like, and I look and I could see his hat kind of coming up the stairs slowly. It's a baseball hat, you know, it has the holes in the back. I could see the front of it has these like wings, almost like an Air Force hat, like one of the military hats. He's coming up, like up the stairs, and I see him, and I'm like, he looks at me, and he kind of gives a second take. He reaches out his hand, and he's like, Joaquin Guzman Loera. I tell him my name, Margarita Flores, Juanita Flores. While he's shaking my hand, he's just staring at me. Dry stare, just staring at me, and I'm like, when we shake our hand, it kind of like, he kind of stares at me, and I'm kind of trying to like give me back my hand a little bit. And so, how could I help you?
That dude you got in the basement over there. Let me holler at him. It's my brother. So they made it to the final boss. At least Jay did. Peter's in the basement somewhere still. This episode was decent. What did we learn? We learned that their Tío Lupe was a piece of shit. Lupe pulled a move on him. They owed a couple people money. They believe they don't owe Chapo no money. They believe they owe that money to Lupe, but Lupe's got them in a vice right now. Last we heard from Peter, he was hungry, he was angry, he went through his regrets, and he was ready by that point. Most of this episode was concentrated on Jay trying to figure out where Peter's at, how to get him. So now he's at the final boss. How can I help you? Explain to me how I owe you $10 million, and let me get dude out the basement. We'll find out on episode 6. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you for coming through. Peace.